Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda.
I am the sword in the darkness.
And you're listening to Girls Nerd Out.
I am the watcher on the walls.
And now our rewatch has begun.
Dracarys.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to all the new people. Welcome back to our loyal listeners that we appreciate so very much. It's me, Amanda, and my best friend in the whole wide world, Andrea.
Hey.
Episode 4, Garden of Bones. We have a couple gold cloaks arguing over who's the best fighter, which is kind of interesting to me because they're like arguing about the mountain or Loras. I mean, that's not two that I would really have much of an argument with because the mountain's just going to do whatever, but okay.
Yeah.
They're making fun of Renly though because one of them is like, how good could he be? He's been stabbing Renly for years and Renly ain't dead.
I thought that was funny.
It is pretty funny. It's a good joke. And it lets us know Loras is right. Like everybody's laughing at you, dude. You need to get her knocked up. The horses get spooked, which is, you should always pay attention to, by the way. And one guy's giving the other guy shit because he's scared or whatever. One of them draws a sword, and a direwolf leaps from the darkness and attacks him. And right when that happens, it cuts to Rob's face in the dark. And he's got his Northman with him. And Rob just looks stoic. But here's the thing. It's not just Grey Wind. There are other wolves. It's a pack. And that is confirmed later in this episode. I never noticed this before. So that means Grey Wind has picked up a pack. That means Nymeria is not the only one that made a pack. That's all I wanted to say.
How can a man be brave if he's afraid? And that is the only time a man can be brave, he told me.
So the next day we see the aftermath. There's a bunch of injured people, really injured. I mean, one guy is about to lose his foot but he's not on Stark's side. He's on the Lannister side. We meet Roose Bolton. He said there's a lot of prisoners and we don't have room for the prisoners. So Rob's just like, well, we're not going to kill them. And Roose Bolton's like, well, we flay men so we can flay them.
Roose is so dark.
I thought he was really dark compared to the books. I mean, yeah, he's still dark in the books, but not like this level.
It's like a different type of dark in the books. Like this guy, looks like somebody that if he was in like an alley, he could probably freak you out. In the books, he's always using leeches. I don't think he's menacing looking. I think he has ice blue eyes too.
Yeah.
And there's Andrea knows I'm going to bring this up. Do I call it a theory? There's a theory that Roose Bolton's a vampire. Is he a vampire? Probably not. But it has something to do with him having kind of gray colored skin and the leeches. But this guy doesn't really look like a vampire. He just wants to flay people.
Yeah, but I like how he's talking about this like he's sitting down for Sunday dinner and just casually having a conversation. But this is where we meet Talisa. We only find out her name towards the end of the conversation, but Talisa is like what'd you call that, a nurse? Doctor?
Yeah. I mean, she's the closest thing to a surgeon you're going to find, I would say.
Yeah. So she's basically helping this guy who's on the Lannister side. He's going to lose his foot. And he's like freaking out and stuff. And Roose is like, you could probably do better with, like, you're probably more needed with our men than these men. And she's like, your men are not my men.
Oh yeah, she has absolutely no problem saying whatever to whoever at all.
And I don't blame her, but I get kind of irritated with her in this scene. But yeah.
Wait, you got irritated with her? She irritates me a little bit.
Yeah, she irritated me because she was like, this is a war, and she doesn't seem to get it.
She just makes fun of Rob about it, and I'm like, okay, war is war. Like, I don't know. She's a bit pretentious to me.
Well, Well, Rob's already attracted to her right away. I mean, she's beautiful,
Yeah.
but it's like, but basically, so Rob tries to explain himself, hey, they killed my father. Wait, that boy killed your father? That boy right there? And well, no, the family he fights for did, but basically, like, she's trying to understand what he's going to do after this, because his plan is to overthrow a king, get rid of a king because of what happened to his dad. But who is going to rule after Joffrey is gone? She makes a good point, but to make fun of him for it, and then I thought, we don't really know what he planned after this. We don't, because he doesn't want King's Landing. So
yeah, he says that, like, 'cause she's like, and then what? And he says, I don't know. We'll go back to Winterfell. I have no desire to sit on the Iron Throne. What would Rob have done? Rob has already stated that Stannis is the rightful heir.
yes.
So I would assume if Stannis is alive, Rob would support Stannis's claim. Now, would he send men? I don't know. At that point, he would probably just want the North to be safe because he's already lost enough. Because you remember when he lost those 2,000 and he was really upset? I don't know if he would send anybody to help Stannis.
No, he just wants the North to be left alone.
Yeah. He would support Stannis's claim. I just don't think he would shed any more northern blood for it.
Yeah. But the way that she was acting, it's like, have you ever been in war before, girl?
Yeah, she's just giving him a hard time about everything he says.
Yeah.
And I get it. She's supposed to be the bold, sassy doctor on the field, and he falls in love with her because she challenges him, and his mom has a similar attitude and mommy issues, and I'm not even getting into that.
Yeah.
She's supposedly from Volantis. I don't think she's from Volantis. I honest to God think they just said that because they're like, hey, what's some random place in the books?
Why do they have to pick somebody like her? Why couldn't we just stick with Jane Westerling? It is what it is.
I don't know. Because this is I've seen people write that and talk about that. Like, Jane Westerling would have fit just fine into this.
Yes. They didn't have to. But the thing is, Rob's actually in love with this person, and I don't think he loved. Well, I think he cares for Jane, but I don't think he's in love with her like he is like with Talisa. So
yeah, so maybe they wanted to make it more dramatic. So yeah, okay, I'll accept that.
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. So like, she basically like gives him shit, and then like he's left staring at her, and it's going to be a thing.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
Jesus Christ. It's the throne room. It's brutal as hell. I forgot how brutal the scene was. So Joffrey, he's pissed off because Rob is winning. And he wants to take it out on Sansa. Okay, I forgot that Lancel is the one egging this shit on.
He's a piece of crap, but also I wanted to say that him acting like he's important at all was really funny.
Oh my God, I hate Lancel.
Yeah.
I hate Lancel as much as Robert Baratheon does. So Lancel is hyping Joffrey up to get him pissed off. So Joffrey has Sansa attack. Well, Joffrey has a crossbow aimed at her this entire time, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, this is it. This is where it is. It's not Joffrey, it's Lancel. So Lancel says, using some vile sorcery, your brother fell on Stafford Lannister with an army of wolves. Thousands of good men were butchered. After the slaughter, the Northmen feasted on the flesh of their slain. Okay. So, no, nobody feasted on any flesh. And I don't think it was just an army of wolves. Obviously, it was a battle. But I do think Grey Wind has some wolves with him.
Yeah.
Maybe I just choose to believe that. Either way, it doesn't matter. But I wrote a note that says, I hate Lancel.
Yeah. Yeah. Joffrey cannot. he cannot kill Sansa because his mom supposedly said that she has to stay alive. I believe that, but I also don't think he wants her dead because he likes a punching bag and he's got his very own punching bag and he gets a kick out of it. Obviously, you can see him when he tells Sir Maren Trant to beat her up, just not the face because he likes her pretty. Now, I honestly believe he thinks she's pretty. I do. Um, but she's kind of I love her, but she's airheaded, in the beginning. So,
Yes.
but she's
We just said Kat didn't teach her like Marjorie was taught.
yes. I mean, she learns, but it takes
She
a while.
does.
But even after this scene, she learns from it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So Sir Maren Trant is enjoying this, and the Hound was very uncomfortable through this. You could tell. And then Tyrion comes in and saves the day. Thank God.
Jesus Christ, Andrea, he was going to have her naked.
Yes, he was ripping her clothes off and everything.
Joffrey wanted Maren Trant to have her naked in the throne room and beaten. It's disgusting.
In front of not like the whole court. There was a lot of people in that room, and nobody did anything to stick up for her except for Tyrion. I understand that he is the king, but the King's Guard should be ashamed of themselves.
Barristan Selmy wouldn't have sat there.
No, I don't think Jaime Lannister would have either.
No. Oh, that's such a good point, Andrea. No. What would he have done?
Probably sent him to. I don't even think Tywin would have allowed it. Like I think he would have sent him to bed.
Yeah, because they know they know Sansa's value. Well, Tywin would think of value. Jaime actually has part of a soul. I bet Jaime would try to distract Joffrey.
Yeah, and then have somebody take her out of the room.
Yep. The Hound. The Hound.
But, yeah, the Hound. The Hound kind of looked like he wanted to, but he can't.
He can't.
So Tyrion interrupts. He's like, what the heck is going on here? He comes in with Bronn, and he goes up to Sir Maren Trant, and he's like, what kind of knight beats a helpless girl? And I'm just like, yeah, he's not a knight. But basically, Sir Maren Trant is like, well, I do whatever the king wants me to do.
Imp. Calls him imp.
He's a piece of trash.
Oh, yeah. And again, here's one of the moments where we actually like Bronn. Bronn says, careful now. We don't want to get blood all over your pretty white cloak.
Right? And Tyrion says to Joffrey, she is to be your queen. And Joffrey says, I'm punishing her for what? For what crimes? She's not at war. Like, she's not the one at war. Her brother is.
Look, Tyrion says the Mad King did as he liked. Has your Uncle Jaime ever told you what happened to him? Which, again, the Mad King had PTSD, and there's a whole lot there. But Tyrion making that point, it's a damn good point. And then, of course, Maren Trant gets all pissed off, like, nobody threatens the king.
Yeah. There is a difference between a threat and teaching, and that's definitely teaching.
Yeah. That's what he says. He says, I'm educating my nephew.
Well, he takes Sansa out of the room, and he asks Sansa, you need to be honest with me. Do you want to end this engagement? And I like what she says. She says, she's loyal to King Joffrey.
Yeah. Tyrion gets this look, and he says, Lady Stark, you may survive us yet.
I have a thing about Joffrey here, though. So, when he takes Sansa, like he helps Sansa up and walks her out, he immediately gets off he startles, like he gets up off it because he was sitting on the throne at this point. So he's just kind of like, I want to say, I know he doesn't love Sansa. There's no way there's any love in that boy's heart. And I know that she's his punching bag, but I also feel like he may feel something, not necessarily love, but something.
Well, he's angry at Tyrion. He's real angry because he's been, Tyrion stopped his fun. And Tyrion showed authority over him. So he's angry too. I think he's confused because nobody ever tells him no.
Yeah, I suppose that could be why his body moved like that. But I also felt like, okay, wait, he's helping her up and he's being nice to her. Like, okay.
That's a good point, Andrea. Do you think for just a second like it broke through and he understood what he was doing for maybe just a second.
Just a second, but then he turns even worse, and it's
Yeah.
so it's not. But I have a theory about that too when we get to it. So
Oh, good.
yeah,
Okay, so Bronn makes a statement that Joffrey will be, just fine. He just needs to get laid, which ew.
I think that makes sense though to do that. But
Okay, Bronn sees Joffrey wanting Sansa naked. So Bronn's just taking that at face value and thinking he just needs a chick. Which, okay, I kind of get that. Sure, I guess. They don't understand Joffrey that well. Which, I mean, because we do, because we've seen him, several times. But so they get Roz and another chick from Littlefinger's brothel, Daisy. Daisy's the other one. So the Hound is standing outside, and Joffrey's like, "Why are you here?" And the Hound's like, "Hey, your uncle has a present for you inside." Goes in, it's the girls, and they're like, "Happy name day," and he's like, "My name day's already passed," and basically, it's not really a name day present, but this is just so weird. Roz moves to touch him. He's like, no. Like, he almost freezes up about it. And then to deflect, he's like, no, you touch her. So they start kind of taking each other's clothes off and doing their own thing. And then Joffrey looks kind of intrigued. But then he's like, could you hit her? And you're like, here we go. So he asked, he said, my uncle sent you. And that's where the rage really starts to bubble over because Tyrion shamed him earlier.
but he does have some definite sadism vibes.
You think he's a sadist, and then Marjorie figures that out, and so
Yeah,
well, there you go.
and if Sansa would have figured that out, but Sansa's an innocent virgin, she wouldn't have been able to figure this out. But I feel like if season 8, not that okay, I can't really say that. If Sansa got with somebody that she loved, okay, and she knew sex before any of this, like later in life, I think she would have been able to handle him fine.
Which is exactly what Marjorie was going to do, because Marjorie has been with other men, and Marjorie figures out that would have been the thing because she figured out Loris's thing, so then
yeah,
she figures out Joffrey's.
yes, and see, Joffrey never did any of this to her. Never even tried. So I think if Sansa was more grown up and knew the world more, she would have been able to handle him just fine.
Yeah. It gets pretty bad. He basically just has Roz beat the mess out of Daisy. It keeps handing her like something worse to hit her with.
It's a
And
scepter. Sorry. It's
Ugh.
a stag scepter. Sorry.
Jesus, is that what that was?
I Googled it.
Well, okay, so first she's like just slapping her, and then he has like what, a belt or something, or a whip, and then I was like, what's the third thing? So it's a scepter?
Yeah. With the
Okay.
stag head on it.
And so Roz doesn't want to beat up Daisy, so Joffrey gets his crossbow, obviously, and basically lets her know, I'll just kill you if you don't do this. And he tells her that after Roz beats Daisy, he's gonna have Roz take Daisy to Tyrion so he can see. So it's pretty dark. It's a dark ass scene.
My husband is my king, and my king is my husband.
Next, we're back at Renly's camp. And Littlefinger shows up. And Renly says, well, if it isn't my favorite whoremonger. And so Renly gives him shit. And he's like, who are you here representing? Because that's Littlefinger. And he just straight up tells him, I don't like you, and I don't like your face. And Littlefinger tries to kiss ass, and he's like, "You still have many friends at court, Your Grace. Many who believe Ned Stark erred by not supporting your claim," which that is accurate. I mean, it's a little bit of an error on Ned's part, but you know. But Littlefinger's kissing up, and so Renly's like, "Oh, now I know why you're here. It's because I have the numbers, and you want to keep your position as Master of Coin, and you want to keep your head."
Yeah.
Yeah, so he figures that out real quick. And this is something I found interesting. Okay. So Littlefinger says, "I understand that you don't like me, and while that saddens me greatly, I did not come here today seeking your affection. When you march on King's Landing, you may find yourself facing a protracted siege or open gates." You know what that made me think of?
Huh.
Two things. It made me think of how the Mad King trusted Tywin. And then after that, it made me think that's what Alicent is telling Rhaenyra she's going to do.
Yeah, that definitely works. I understand why the Mad King trusted him, but he came in way late. Somebody should have been like, "Hey, wake up, dude."
Oh, yeah. But like you got Pycelle whispering in the Mad King's ear the whole time, "Trust Tywin, trust Tywin."
Yeah, that's why I say you were followers, you were loyal to Tywin way before the Mad King died.
Way. Yep. Because all those people started saying that Tywin was the one that really ruled, and Ares was. I mean, come on, he's just saying burn them all and stuff. His fingernails are long. He's batshit at that point.
Yeah.
So Pycelle's like, "Yeah, you ain't long for this world. I'm all Lannister." But I just thought that was so crazy. So you have Littlefinger saying he would open the gates for Renly. And I
Yeah.
just basically wanted to bring up the fact that Alicent said she would open the gates for Rhaenyra, even
Well,
though
I don't. When Rhaenyra gets there, she's still going to do something because Aegon will be there.
I know, but I just like anytime I can point out that Alicent sold out her kids,
Yeah.
but I'm really petty. The longer time goes on, the more petty I am about Alicent Hightower.
You want to be a queen?
No, I want to be the queen.
After that, Littlefinger goes to see Marjorie, and this is when Marjorie is wearing the famous barrel dress. You either love it or you don't. It's supposed to actually be similar to a dress Cersei wears, which is kind of in the same shape, but Marjorie's is like a deeper barrel. So it's kind of controversial. It's you either love it or you hate it. But Natalie Dormer is beautiful, so she looks beautiful in anything. And Littlefinger is basically letting Marjorie know, "Hey, I know Renly has not done anything to you because on your wedding night he was with your brother." And she's like, "Yeah, you're real interested in my marriage." And he continues to just make little like remarks about that. And she says something about her tent, and he's like, "Your tent, not our tent." He's such a shit. But she shuts him down, and she says, "My husband is my king, and my king is my husband. And here's your tent, Lord Baelish. Good night."
Yeah, she definitely knows how to play the game if you didn't notice it already.
Hell to the yeah, as she should, as she should. She shuts him down and tells him to hush, real quick.
You're a Targaryen. You're the mother of dragons.
I need to be more than that.
I wrote in all caps, "Finally." Okay, so we're outside Qarth. So Kavaro is on a fresh horse, which Daenerys notices very quickly. She's like, "That's not your horse." And he says it was given to him by the 13, the elders of Qarth. And she's like, "Qarth?" He said, 3 days to the east on the sea. So they're really not that far. I mean, considering how long they've been going in the Red Waste, they're not that far from Qarth. And she's like, "Will they let us in?" And Kavara says, "They said they would be honored to receive the Mother of Dragons." And Daenerys asked Jorah, like, what do you know about this place? Please, please, everyone hear me. Please. Jorah says, only that the desert around their walls is called the Garden of Bones. Every time the Qarthines shut their gates on a traveler, the garden grows. So that means if the 13 don't let you inside Qarth, you all die. Put a
Yeah,
pin in that.
because there's nothing out there.
Nothing. There's absolutely nothing. There's bones. It's nothing. There's no water. There's nothing. Put 8 pins in that. I digress. Sorry, I just dropped a mic, but you can't see it. I'll get to it.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of a sheep.
Ooh, Harrenhal. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, they're just so they're all standing outside Harrenhal. They're going to be taken in there, but so you see Gendry, Arya, and Hot Pie, and that's why it upsets me how Arya is in season 8, because she's fascinated by the fact that this building was burned by dragon fire.
Do you know why I love you? Because you just said that. Because you know what I wrote down?
What?
Why wouldn't Arya want to see Drogon or Rhaegal? Rhaegal is green like Vhagar, and Drogon is dark colored like Balerion. And we know Arya likes Visenya, who flew on Vhagar, who is green.
Yep. So it doesn't make any sense. They definitely ruined her character.
They have one scene where she gets excited to see a dragon and then it's just gone. And that makes absolutely no sense. She loves Visenya Targaryen. Visenya Targaryen with her silver hair and her green dragon. And up rolls Daenerys with silver hair, also with a green dragon. And Arya's not fascinated.
Rhaenys rode Meraxus. Visenya rode Vhagar. Visenya Targaryen was a great warrior.
So basically, they get taken into Harrenhal, and it's a wreck. It's literally a wreck. So whatever Daemon tried to do, it's not gonna work.
You know, bless your heart, they disrespected your king's work.
I know.
Because he was fixing up Harrenhal just like the Notebook. I forgot that. Oh my God, we said that.
Yes, we did.
Didn't we make a meme?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I gotta find that because it was Daemon. It was the Notebook, but Daemon was fixing up Harrenhal for Rhaenyra. I'm dead. Go ahead.
Yep. So they're all like in chains. Everybody's in chains, and they're like in, what is that? Like a pin? It's basically, it looked like a pin. It was a pin, and they're all like clustered together. And this lady, you hear somebody like crying out in the background. You don't actually see them, but you see this lady. She's got gray hair. She's old, and she basically tells them, because the screaming stops, and she's like, "That was my son. He's dead." And she watched her sister die and her husband die and now her son. And it sounds like they pick someone every day.
Yep. And they ask him questions, but it's just an excuse to kill them.
Yeah, that guy is a piece of crap. What is he, the Tickler? Is that the Tickler?
I think so, yeah. They're like the worst of the worst. It's the Mountains men. They're awful. All of them. And Arya says her little thing.
Yeah, her list. Joffrey, Cersei, Ilyn Payne, and the Hound. This is her list so far. She adds to it later, but yeah.
Yeah, good start to a list, though.
Yes.
So we go back to Renly's camp, and Kat's in her tent, and there's Littlefinger. And she's like, how dare you? He's like, you may have heard false reports. Jesus Christ. So she calls him out like for betraying Ned, and then he's manipulative, and he's like, betrayed. I wanted him to serve as protector. I begged him to seize the moment, which is not totally a lie. And she's mad. She's like, I trusted you. I put a little note that instead of arresting Tyrion early on, she should have arrested Littlefinger right there and taken him.
Well,
Probably back to Rob.
his well, yes, but his get out of jail free card is Ned's bone.
Yep. I mean, and that's basically the same. Like, she's pissed. She gets a dagger. And here's
Well,
something interesting that I put. You
okay.
know, he says, do you want to see your girls again? Sansa more beautiful than ever. And then he says, Arya just as wild as ever. And when whenever I saw this years ago, I thought he was just BSing. But now I wonder, does he know she's just as wild as ever because he knows that Jack and Hagar is like watching out for her? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the thing is, the scene he's like telling her this, and he's like, we need Jamie back. I need to take Jamie. And and she's like, Jamie Lannister for 2 girls. I'm like, yeah, now you get it. Now you understand. But then you contradict yourself after this. So it is what it is.
Yep. So it's like, at 1 minute, she's like, yeah, 2 girls for Jamie. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, no, not that. They wouldn't trade for that. Whatever.
She drives me nuts.
She drives me nuts too.
But how much you want to bet on the way to the Stormlands, Littlefinger cursed Ned?
Oh, I put on here, do you even think those are Ned's bones?
That makes me really sad. But in the books, like, his bones are still not in Winterfell. So
Follow your favorite podcasters on all social media at Southern Mother of Dragons and at the Princess of Dragonstone.
back at Harrenhal, and so the Mountain does pick, and I think Hot Pie says that that if you look him in the eyes, he won't do anything. He won't pick you if you look at him in the eyes. So him and one other person are looking him in the eyes. Everybody else is looking away.
Yeah. It doesn't work though. So they have like a torture area, and yeah, it's the tickler asking the same question they've been asking everybody. Is there gold and silver in the village? Gems? Where's the Brotherhood? And just in case people don't remember, the Brotherhood is the Brotherhood without banners. That is Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, Edric Dane, and Tom of Seven Streams, and some others. Those are the men that Ned sent to go find the mountain and bring him to justice when he was handed the king.
Yep.
Because we love it, because they're still doing that.
Yeah.
So, because, they're honorable and they're interesting.
So after that scene, that guy, they put rats in a bucket and put it up against you and burn the bucket. They put fire against the bucket. That's their form of torture. It's creepy. So Arya adds to her list. She says Joffrey, Cersei, Ilyn Payne, the Hound, Polliver, and the Mountain.
It's a good list.
Look to your sins, Lord Renly. The night is dark and full of terrors.
We're back at the Stormlands, and Renly's with his bannerman on a horse, and Stannis is on the other side with Davos and Melisandre. And Stannis is surprised to see Cat. Cat's surprised to see Stannis. And Renly says, can that truly be you? Like, Renly starts off trying to piss Stannis off. Stannis is like, who else might it be? He's so deadpan. And the reason he says that is because he's like, when I saw your standard, I couldn't be sure. Whose banner is that? And Stannis is like, it's mine. And then Renly says, I suppose if we used the same one, the battle would be terribly confusing.
It would, actually.
Yeah. He's like, why is your stag on fire? Such an ass. And so Melisandre says, the king has taken for his sigil the fiery heart of the Lord of Light. And Renly basically says, oh, brother, I know why you got so religious. It's because you want to bang this chick. And Stannis gets mad. And he's like, watch yourself, Renly.
Well, they act like children, kind of. And I like that Catelyn's like, if you were sons of mine, I'd knock your heads together and lock you in your bedchamber until you remembered that you are brothers. And I'm like, I don't think that would have fixed them, but you know.
No, but I understand the sentiment, Kat. I do.
Yeah.
Because Melisandre says, you should kneel before your brother. He is the Lord's chosen, born of... He is the Lord's chosen, born amidst salt and smoke. And Renly says, born amidst salt and smoke? Is he a ham? Jesus, Renly. So yeah, so Stannis is basically saying, Kat, why are you standing with Renly? Your husband supported my claim. Kat says, we share a common enemy. And Stannis says, the Iron Throne is mine by right. All those that deny are my foes. Now I'm going to tell you something. This might be my favorite Renly quote. It's just, I think it's really well written. Because Renly says, the whole realm denies it. From Dorne to the Wall. Old men deny it with their death rattle, and unborn children deny it in their mother's wombs. No one wants you for their king. You never wanted any friends, brother. But a man without friends is a man without power.
Yep.
And that is what me and Andrea have talked about. Stannis was at Dragonstone being Stannis. Renly was finessing the realm. There you go. There you go. Renly's not wrong. Now, I mean, like, it doesn't work out for him. But, like, other than magic, he's not wrong. I mean, would Stannis be a better king? Yes. I think he's fair, and Renly's a bit flippant. But friends in high places. So Stannis says, for the sake of the mother who bore us, I'll give you this one night to reconsider. And he says, I'll even name you my heir until a son is born to me, which sounds really nice until you notice that it kind of cuts to Mel. Stannis said that because he thinks Mel's going to have a son for him. So it's not really an offer. I mean, kind of. But let me ask you something. If Stannis thinks that Melisandre is going to give him a son, how would he make that his heir?
How would he make his son his heir?
Yeah, so like, you know, Mel said, I'll give you a son. And
maybe Selyse will act like it's her kid.
Okay, yeah. That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, how would he do that?
Because that would be a bastard child. It wouldn't be legitimate unless he legits his own child. Like, he could claim that, yes, this is a bastard son, but I'm a king, so I can legitimize bastards. So,
like
so
Roose did.
Yes, and what Stannis said he would do to Jon, he would give him a Stark name. So it could be like that, or Selyse. I don't really see Selyse pretending this kid is hers, but you never know.
No, because I feel like she would have like worshipped the kid because it came from Melisandre if it was an actual kid.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. Yeah, he would legitimize. Yeah, okay. And I like to ask you those things because you always have good examples.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, sad that Renly said, you know, I loved him once. And I'm like, yeah, you can't see it now.
Yeah, that was sad. I actually wrote sad by that.
But the scene with Baelish, you know, in the beginning, you could tell he really loved Robert when he talked about Robert.
Yes.
So that shows the dynamic between the brothers, I think.
It does. It's mostly implied in the books. I don't think they ever liked each other that much. I mean, Robert liked Renly, but oh God, I'm sorry. That just made me think of that monologue. Do you remember? You know that guy on TikTok that did the monologue about the hawk?
Yeah.
Proudwing by Christopher Tester on TikTok.
When I was a lad, I found an injured goshawk and nursed her back to health. Proudwing, I named her.
She would perch on my shoulder and flutter from room to room after me and take food from my hand. But she would not soar. Why, time and again, I would take her hawking, but she never flew higher than the treetops. Robert called her Weak Wing. He owned a gyrfalcon named Thunderclap who never missed her mark. One day, our great uncle, Sir Harbert, told me to try a different bird. I was making a fool of myself with Proudwing, he said. He was right. The Seven have never brought me so much as a sparrow. It is time I tried a different hawk, Davos. A red hawk.
I love that monologue.
Dracarys.
Next, we're at the gates of Qarth. Daenerys is outside. The gates are closed. And she's like, well, I thought we were welcome. And Jorah says, if you heard a Dothraki horde was approaching your city, you might do the same, Khaleesi. And Daenerys looks back at her poor, pitiful people, and she's like, horde? So the Qarthine soldiers line up outside the gate, and the 13 emissaries from the city walk forward, and the leader is the Spice King. And she's like, my name is Daenerys. And he cuts her off, and he's like, Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen. And she's like, you know me, my lord? And he says, only by reputation, Khaleesi, and I'm no lord, merely a humble merchant. They call you the Mother of Dragons. And she's like, what do I call you? And he says his name is quite long and impossible for foreigners to pronounce, which is really interesting to me. So he just says he's a trader of spices.
I thought it was an insult, to be honest.
Huh?
I thought it was an insult, to be honest, how he said his name was too long and probably difficult to say for everybody, but he doesn't even know her. So it's like, just because she's not from your area doesn't mean she wouldn't know how to say her name. So I felt it was insulting.
I agree. This asshole patronizes her the entire time. He starts it right then. He's making fun of her. And he continues to do that. I mean, I don't know why people think whatever. So Daenerys is trying to be really nice, but this annoys me. She's saying the beauty of Qarth is legendary, but they have her pronounce Qarth wrong, which everybody's already said Qarth multiple times. She's not going to mispronounce Qarth. Like, it's like trying to make her seem less. I don't know. It irritates the shit out of me, and it's not in the books. So the Spice King corrects her that it's Qarth, and she says it right. And he wants to see the dragons, and she's nervous, and she just kind of glances back, and she says, like, you know, we've had no food, no water. Once I see my people fed, I'd be honored to show you my dragons. Just, that's the only thing she's got. That's it. She literally has nothing else that is worth anything to these people, and she knows that. And he basically says, no living man alive has ever seen a dragon, and my skeptical friends refuse to believe your children even exist. And she's getting offended. She's like, I'm not a liar. And he's like, well, I don't think you are, but I've never met you before.
The way he said children is condescending. I didn't like how he said children. It's like, he mocks her too much.
He mocks her the entire time. Every single thing he says is a jab.
Yeah.
Every single one. And the longer they talk outside Qarth, like the entire time they're having this conversation, she knows that anybody behind her might just fall out dead. The entire time they're in the Red Waste, they are dying one by one. The horses are dead. Everything. Ugh. It just gives it another layer when you realize she is trying to get them in as quick as she can because they're dropping like flies. Literally. So she says, where I come from, guests are treated with respect, not insulted at the gates. And then he says, perhaps you should return to where you come from. We wish you well. I hate him.
Yeah.
So he turns and walks away. And she steps forward. And she's like, what are you doing? You promised to receive me. And he says, we have received you. Here we are, and here you are. He's such an ass. So she's afraid. And she says, if you do not let us in, all of us will die. So if they don't get in those gates, all of them will die. And he says, which we shall deeply regret. But Qarth did not become the greatest city that ever was or will be by letting Dothraki savages through its gates. So they start walking back inside. And Jorah is trying to tell Daenerys to be careful, and Daenerys is like, to hell with being careful. This is my only chance. I mean, like, that's what's left of her Khalasar. That's Jorah. And those are her 3 children. They're all dying. Hell, she's dying. They don't have long. They probably don't have another day. There's no water, there's no food, and there's no protection from the sun, and those gates are about to close. So Daenerys steps forward, and the soldiers react because they see her step forward. And she says, 13, when my dragons are grown, we will take back what was stolen from me and destroy those who have wronged me. We will lay waste to armies and burn cities to the ground. Turn us away and we will burn you first. Everybody loves to say that that's proof that Daenerys was already mad. That's not being mad, that's desperation.
No, that's just people being a misogynist against her because they don't understand the scene. They don't understand her. They also hate Targaryens, so it is what it is.
Andrea, I've been live and somebody has started to say something and you've heard me go, if you're about to bring up Qarth, I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
Which is when Andrea blocks people, which I'm very thankful for. By the way, I'd like to shout out Andrea for being the best mod that's ever existed. I love her.
Thank you.
Follow your favorite podcasters on all social media at Southern Mother of Dragons and at the Princess of Dragonstone.
Also, I just want to say, because this is when Zara Von Doxos comes up.
Hey, will you talk about Zara? Talk about Zara.
I really can't stand him, but he is nothing like he is in the books. He's nothing like in the books. He's actually quite interesting in the books and terrifying. This guy acts like he's rich, which apparently he is, and he's not. But you'll see that eventually. He could have said anything at any point because he already obviously agreed that Daenerys should come in there, but the way that he only comes out at this point when she shows that, hey, she's a true Targaryen by talking like this.
I mean, what's so interesting, though, is the Spice King says after that, you are a true Targaryen.
But he doesn't think of her as a threat because her dragons are babies.
And there's only one Targaryen. Yep.
Yes.
But you're right. This Zaro is like... He's cheesy. He's trying to finesse, and he's all like, this is the mother of dragons. And then he says he's gonna invoke the Sumai, which is basically I will, speak for her, basically.
Well, I do like that he says, do you expect us to watch her, or do you expect her to watch her people starve? As, because yes, they're Dothraki, but there's only a few of them, and what's the harm in bringing some in? I am a savage from the Summer Isles, and look, I didn't do anything wrong, so.
See, and you make a very good point. So what we have just seen is classism and racism. The Spice King doesn't want them in there because they're Dothraki. That is a huge reason, because they just think they're beneath them and they're savages, even though this is no horde.
No.
This is a dying, small, tiny Khalasar. And then you're right. Zara does make a good point when he says, like, I'm from the Summer Isle, so if you want to be racist, then,
But I like how this guy, I mean, the 13 just lets that guy just talk and like act like he's the voice of everybody. When we didn't see anybody vote on it, we just saw him talking. And then Zara was like, well, I am a part of the 13 and I am still speaking. So I like that. It was good,
Yeah.
even though I can't stand him.
Yeah, true. The reason why Andrea said he's nothing like Zara in the books. Okay, Zara in the books, he's like this real big guy, and he is really rich. And he's asked Daenerys to marry him. I don't know how many times, but he also has naked male dancers dance, and he cries a lot. When I say that, it sounds so batshit.
He is kind of batshit though, but he's terrifying and interesting, but not like that in the show. No.
Yeah, it's like longer time goes on, the more scary he becomes because when she disrupts the slave trade, then he gets angry because he's losing money. He starts getting kind of threatening.
Yeah, and he doesn't act threatening at all in the show, so it is what it is.
Right. So the Spice King's like, be it on your head, and Zara says, welcome to Qarth, my lady. And they go through.
Yeah.
Because she's not mad. She just saved her people. All right.
Yes.
God.
Vala Morgulis.
Vala Morgulis.
Oh, we're back at Harrenhal.
They take Gendry.
Yep.
And that's scary because, we've known Gendry's for a while now. So it's just, it's freaky when you first watch it. And it's freaky when you watch it again because, well, it's nothing's going to happen to him, but he does get the rats on the stomach but they ask him the same questions. They're not going to get what they want.
No, because somebody has an incredible entrance.
Yes. Tywin. This is like, I'm the boss is here, you're gonna have to listen and get out.
Tywin, motherfucking Lannister, rides in astride a white horse, and he's flanked by gold coats. You see Lannister red and gold. He looks like a god.
He does.
It really is a good entrance, and it's a damn fine horse he's on too. So
he's not excited with how everything is going on though. Like he's just like, wow, this is a shithole.
Oh, he's so disgusted. First of all, he's disgusted with Harrenhal. He's disgusted with what he sees, what they're doing, and it's very interesting because he grasps what's happening in like a millisecond. Like, okay, me and Andrea say all the time, Tywin Lannister's a horrible person. The reason why some people say he's not is because of Charles Dance. It is. It's Charles Dance. We love Charles Dance. He makes Tywin have likable qualities, which we're about to see. Because he basically just like reads them for filth as soon as he gets there. He gets off his horse and he just looks around and the mountain's like, we weren't expecting you till tomorrow. And he says, evidently not. And he wants to know why the prisoners aren't in their cells. And he says the cells are overflowing. And Polliver is basically saying, we're interrogating them, which Tywin knows that means you're killing them. And he says, are we so well manned that we can afford to discard able young bodies and skilled laborers? See, that's Charles Dance. I'm just saying. So he immediately goes over to Gendry, who he can tell, I'm sure, like Tywin knows Gendry's worked in a forge because his arms are big. And he says, do you have a trade? And Gendry says, Smith, my lord. And Tywin's just like, see? Polliver notices Arya staring and he draws a sword to threaten her. And he's like, kneel or I'll carve your lungs out, boy. And Tywin says he'll do no such thing. This one's a girl, you idiot. Dressed as a boy. Why? And Arya, very quickly and very smart, says, safer to travel, my lord. And he says, smart, more than I can say for this lot. Get these prisoners to work. Bring the girl. I need a new cupbearer.
Yep, he was already intrigued.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if this is true, but doesn't she remind him of Cersei sometimes?
He says that. Yes,
Yeah.
you are correct.
Yes. So,
It's the spunk.
yeah, Cersei, Cersei is diabolical, but she's interesting.
Well, I mean, you can think about it as in, like, he's thinking of Cersei at that age, you know, and the quick wit, which show Cersei has. Book.
Yeah, no, she's interesting, but she's bad. So we see next Tyrion, Lancel's at Tyrion's door. This is another scene where he acts like he's more important than anybody, and he's not.
Oh, God.
Tyrion puts him in his place here because he's basically not. But like he's demanding, while Queen Cersei is demanding for Maester Pycelle to be brought out of the Black Cells, and I think that's hilarious that he gets to think that he can talk to Tyrion like that, but Tyrion throws it in his face. So it's a great scene. But basically, he's just like calling him out, like, because Lancel has apparently been knighted. I'm like, for what? What has he been knighted for? I wrote that down. I was like, knighted. I underlined it. I'm like, why? Why was he knighted?
He was knighted because he gave that wine to Robert, and he's been banging Cersei.
Is she really that good in bed? Like, is she that good in bed?
She knighted him, so he'll keep banging her. I think she just wanted another Lannister since Jaime's gone.
Did Cersei have you knighted before or after she took you into her bed?
I mean, after, probably. At least he doesn't look so much like a string bean. I don't know.
I mean, I do like his clothes. He is dressed better than he dresses later, but you know, Lancel, I only like Lancel later. Well, I don't even like Lancel. I don't think I ever like him to.
But like, he doesn't realize what time it is.
The hour of the wolf.
Yeah, you're gonna go, because like Tyrion just bust him out. He's like, it's the hour of the wolf. So why were you so late bringing this to me? And Lancel's like, no, I wasn't late. And so Tyrion's like, oh, so you were just in the bed banging her.
I did as I was bid. Okay.
Yeah.
Tyrion is going to make him his bitch. He wants to know what Cersei is up to. He wants Lancel to stay with her, learn everything, and come to him with it. Follow her too. See what she's up to, who she's talking to, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Tyrion says, if you don't tell me everything my sister is doing and keep it quiet, then Joffrey's going to know that you're banging his mom. And that's about all you have to say to Lancel. So now Lancel is a spy for Tyrion. Which might be the only smart thing he's ever done.
The night is dark and full of terrors of men, but the fire burns them all away.
Because obviously we have to end the episode on something real creepy.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're in the sea by the Stormlands. It's at night. There's a boat. And Davos approaches Stannis. And Stannis is like, do your knuckle bones bring you luck? And he says, well, life's been good since you hacked them off, your grace. And it's 4 less fingernails to clean. And Stannis says fewer. And Davos says pardon. And Stannis says 4 fewer fingernails to clean.
I like when he corrects people and says fewer. He says that more than once in the show.
He does. And then it's almost heartbreaking that Davos then corrects. Like, I think it's season... it's either 7 or 8. But Davos actually corrects and says fewer. It's kind of sweet. So Stannis is like, hey, do you still remember how to be a smuggler? And Davos is like, yeah, sure. And he kind of mentions that his son's a bit of a fanatic now. He's a religious fanatic, which kind of comes into play later. But I thought it was interesting. They're talking about Melisandre, and Davos calls her the Red Woman, and then Stannis says she has a name. But then right after that, Stannis tells Davos that he's got to take her somewhere, and then Stannis calls her the Red Woman. So to me, it's almost like a little bit of, I don't know if that's guilt or like Stannis kind of feels like a fish out of water because he's all about order and balance, and then he's broken his vow with her. So like at first he's like she has a name, but then he kind of drops it and just calls her the Red Woman. So I don't know, I found that kind of interesting. But Davos knows that something weird is going on because he's like, you got to take her and you can't say anything about it. And he says, surely there are other ways, cleaner ways. And Stannis says, cleaner ways don't win wars.
Yep.
So it's going to be something. Do you want to talk about that? About what happens?
Oh, yeah. So Davos takes her in like this little boat. And I didn't write the full conversation, but I did write the end. But I just wanted to say that the little conversation that they have about his wife, because Mel's like, you love your wife? And he goes, yes, I love my wife. And then she goes, yet you have known other women. And it's like, who the fuck are you to...
I know, like, okay, is that her trying to defend Stannis having a shadow baby with her?
Yeah, I think so,
Okay.
because he's very judgmental about it.
Okay.
But what I don't understand is when they get to where they need to be, she says, I know you want me, and I know you want to see what's under here. And I'm like, when did he give you that vibe? When did he ever give you the vibe that he even wanted to look at you like that?
I agree, because he looks repulsed and afraid.
He's afraid of her at first. I think he's mostly afraid of her for most of the part until what happens to Shireen. But yeah, I don't see him ever having the hots for her.
No. No. Like when she takes off her robe, he's looking because he's like, what the hell is this?
Like, how is she that pregnant already kind of situation?
Yeah, she's rocking with a 9-month pregnant belly.
And she spread eagles in front of something like a lamp or whatever with the light. And yeah.
And her belly's moving.
It's creepy.
Moving like an alien.
Yeah, and these shadows come out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely not a real sun.
I'll tell you something interesting. So another thing I noticed. So Davos says, strange that this Lord of Light asks you to work in the shadows. And Melisandre says, shadows cannot live in the dark, Sir Davos. They are servants of the light, the children of fire. And the brighter the flame, the darker they are. And that is so interesting because, shadows are usually like associated with darkness, but shadows can't exist without the light. So in that religion, the shadows are actually good because they're signs that there's light.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, because usually people are like, ooh, dark shadows. But she's like, no, shadows can't exist in the dark. So, Lord of Light. But, me and Andrea like the Lord of Light. So, there you go.
Yes.
Davos actually says gods protect us. And she says there's only one God, Sir Davos. And he only protects those who serve him. And shadow baby. It's not even a baby. It's a shadow thing. we call it a shadow baby, but it's like, it's pretty big.
Well, and apparently has the face of Stannis.
She's like
throughout
all
too,
like
which-
screaming and stuff, and sometimes it sounds like she's in pain, and then sometimes it sounds like she likes it, and I'm sure that's intentional. And that's about it. So
I thought she enjoyed it the whole time, to be honest.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No.
Okay, so because like at first she's kind of like, and I'm like, oh yeah, that must kind of hurt, and then it kind of just sounds like she's having a no.
Yeah, definitely a no.
Okay, all right. So no wonder she didn't mind it. As always, it's Amanda here to say thank you to all of our listeners and to ask that if you like this week's episode, leave us an honest rating. And if you'd like to continue the discussion, please feel free to comment on our post over at our Girls Nerd Out podcast account on Instagram. If you're interested in buying any of our merch to support the podcast and so that we can continue to release weekly episodes, then check it out over at girlsnerdoutpodcast.com. Our podcast logo was designed by Chairman Bilal over on Fiverr. Our podcast merch was put together by me, myself, and I at Southern Mother of Dragons on all social media. If you're interested in my personal merch, check it out at southernmotherofdragons.com. And the designs for that merch were put together by Ryuchi Studios on Etsy after an in-depth back and forth discussion with me to find the perfect merch for me and my loyal supporters. The music played while I tell you about all the ways you can support us and the production of the podcast is Kawaii Girl by Pumpkin Pie. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda. And you just listened to
Girls Nerd Out.